What you see here is a windscreen and also a bonnet, both without any kind of protection. In today's video, I'm going to be using a variety of products from Soft99 to make this a little bit more hydrophobic. So as I said, Soft99 reached out to me and asked if I wanted to try some products, and I very kindly said yes, because I'm nice like that. I'm giving the glass a quick clean here with some other products actually. First was the Clearly Menthol glass cleaner from Dodo Juice, followed by an all-purpose cleaner. This is Secret Ingredient from the Detail Kitchen. Both of these to try and lift as much dirt as possible from the windscreen. One thing you'll see here is that it is completely hydrophilic. That is to say, the water wants to stick to the glass where the wipers have been, but you can see on the sections where the wipers haven't been able to reach, there is still some hydrophobic goings on right there. This is something I want to remove because I'm going to be adding a glass sealant, and that isn't exactly going to help me. I want to remove everything that was there before to make sure that the new sealant gets a good bond. So what I'm using here actually is a scratch-free scrubber pad. These are really good for glass. They don't scratch a glass at all. I'm using the Secret Ingredient all-purpose cleaner again on the pad and on the glass here. The glass is already wet, and I am scrubbing over. Make sure you get those wiper blades out of the way. And one thing that was interesting was on the sections where the wipers did not make contact with the glass, it was more grabby. It was interesting. You could feel the extra grit and dirt. So you can definitely tell that the wipers do a good job of actually keeping your glass fairly clean. A quick rinse off there and you can see that very defined section. Actually, those sections where the wipers don't reach, if anything now, they're more hydrophobic because they're not clogged up with dirt. But again, I want to get rid of that. It's very interesting to see the difference there. All the sections which have had wipers running on them all the time, you can see that is completely hydrophilic. And the rest is hydrophobic. So what I'm using here now is a quick detailer. This is Auto Glim Rapid Detailer. There's a reason for that. In my hand there is a small amount of Auto Glim's clay bar. I'm using this to work over the glass and pick up anything that might be sticking to the glass that wouldn't perhaps come off with normal chemical decontamination or scrubbing. It helps to pick things up out of the glass and make it that much smoother. The detailing spray is there to act as a lubricant for the clay bar. Another rinse, and you can see there, not a huge change with the hydrophobic sections. They're still behaving incredibly hydrophobically. So after drying off the glass, this is the products I'm going to be using. This is Soft99's Glaco glass compound and the Ultra Glaco glass sealant with the power of Fusso. The compound itself, it's an all-in-one self-contained product. There's a bottle with a felt pad on the end, and you unscrew the cap to release it, give it a squirt, and out comes the compound. Get that onto the felt pad, and then simply work it in either straight lines or circular overlapping motions. I could definitely feel the grittiness, the abrasiveness of this product. Because it was brand new, it took a few goes of squirting out the product to make sure that the pad was sufficiently primed and able to move around and work that product. You can see it, I'm working it here in a crosshatch pattern, up and down and then side to side. I did keep changing my hands and changing my grip because I couldn't really find a nice ergonomic way to hold this. That's about my only gripe with it. But I could definitely feel it cutting into the glass and helping to really scrub that glass nice and clean. Once the pad had been used a few more times, it was easier to move around. A drawback here is that it was a very warm day, although there wasn't any direct sunlight there. That certainly wasn't helping as it was drying out the product quite quickly. It's better to do this on a cool day. But once you're done and it's all dried, or at least it's all compounded, all you need to do is rinse it off with a good strong stream of water. You could use your pressure washer or just your hose pipe like I'm using now. One thing I will say, it does need to be a decent strength of a stream. I did find that after rinsing this off as much as I could using this particular spray style, I did find a few bits that didn't quite rinse off. The pad itself on the end disconnects, it comes off completely, and you can rinse it off. Flip it over a few times under a strong stream of water, and that stops all the compound drying out inside the pad. It may not be very easy to see here, but there are sections of that glass where some of that compound is sticking to the glass. It didn't rinse off freely. But you can see the glass is still wet here, and only the very edges are still a tiny bit hydrophobic, but most of it is now clear. So another hit with the clearly menthol glass cleaner here, just to clean off the remainders of any compound that was left, and also to help pick up water as well. I could have used the Soft99 glass cleaner called D-Cleaner, but unfortunately that is a hydrophobic glass cleaner. I didn't want to use that yet. This though is the coating. This is the Glaco Ultra. It's got the same idea with a cap that unscrews and basically reveals a hole inside that goes to the bottle. Deposit some of the product onto the windscreen and work it over with the built-in felt pad, and work it over in overlapping sections so you don't miss anything. It's actually a very, very easy to use system. You don't really need to push much in the way of pushing pressure down onto the glass. Just give it a squirt and work it over in circles or overlapping straight lines, however you want to do it. And once this has been applied, allow it some time to haze, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. It only took 5 minutes for me because this was a very warm morning. I gave it a finger swipe, just like I would with a wax, to make sure if it was dry and ready to buff off. And I will say this much, I've used some glass coatings in the past which can be a bit of a nightmare to buff off. This was a pleasant surprise. It buffed off relatively easily. I used the short pile side of the microfiber first to pick up most of the residue from both sides. And although it maybe looks like I'm going a bit slow and maybe working hard, I wasn't. I was actually just taking my time to make sure I removed all the residue possible. And then flip the towel over to the plush side. Now I will say this, it felt quite grabby, which was interesting. It didn't feel slick. But moving on to the bonnet, on the left side we've got Fusso Coat Boost, and on the right side is Fukupika spray. This is the Fusso Coat Boost, and this is designed to work as a topper or a standalone protective product. If you're already using the Fusso Coat Wax, you can use this on top to help boost your protection. Or if you don't have anything at all, this panel has had, well, very little in the way of preparation. It has literally just been washed and nothing more. It's a very, very easy product to use though. It spreads on and then sort of flashes off all by itself. It doesn't really need a buff. I was working it over and it just flashed away behind, which was really, really nice to use actually. But just in case, I wanted to make sure there was nothing left behind, I flipped it over to the dry side and felt immediate slickness. It didn't feel so slick to apply, but on the buff here, or this final wipe over, it was incredibly slick. What a huge difference. The Fukupika spray here, this one is a little bit different because it claims to work as a waterless wash product, which also has a 6-month durability. The Fusso Coat Boost also claims to have a 6-month durability, but doesn't mention anything about working it as a waterless wash. So one seems to be more of a topper, and this is more of a sort of quick detailer slash wax. It's an interesting one, this. I will say this, it didn't flash off as quickly as the Fusso Coat Boost, but it required very little in the way of a buff over. It was still very, very easy to use. Very, very simple and straightforward, nice and easy. Flipping to the dry side, it was also very slick. And I thought to myself, you know what? These could both be exactly the same product. They work in practically the same way. They offer the same amount of durability. Why would you need one over the other? So I took out a dry microfiber here, and this was my slickness testing to try and figure out if one is more slick than the other. And going by my incredibly scientific tests, I should have had my lab coat for this, but my very, very scientific tests of flinging this microfiber around the bonnet, I was able to determine that the left side, the Fusso Coat Boost, had the edge on slickness. Now, while I was also cleaning the glass, I made sure to do the inside of the windscreen here. Since I had just coated it from the outside, I wanted to make sure that it was nice and clean and ready for our drive. We're borrowing this car to go on holiday, and I wanted to make sure that if the outside is clean, the inside also has to be clean. The nice thing about an E-Class Mercedes is the windscreen is actually quite close to you, so you can reach all the way down from the driver's side, whereas most of the time to do that, I would be sitting in the passenger seat. This was the D-cleaner, the hydrophobic glass cleaner, using on the inside. Now, the glass coating is meant to be allowed to cure and stay dry for 12 hours, but the Aberdeenshire weather never fails to let me down. 1 hour later, it started to rain. So I thought, fine, if that's the case, let's just roll with it. Let's have a look at the hydrophobics, because I know you guys are interested in finding out just how well these perform. We'll start with the bonnet here. The left side was the Fusso Coat Boost, and the right side was the Fukupika spray. Initially, I thought to myself, yeah, the Fusso Coat Boost has the edge, but a little bit of playing around for a little bit longer, trying to even out the sprays, and I think, honestly, they perform practically the same. The sheeting speed seems to be the same, and we'll throw down some beads here so you can get an idea of what it looks like after a rain shower. The beads are not super tight, and they're not plump, they're not uniform, and that's the same on both the Fusso Coat Boost and Fukupika sides. And there's the sheeting. Practically the same, I would say. Very little to be able to tell the difference. There's the windscreen with the Glaco Ultra Coat. That's Glaco Ultra doing its thing now. It's only been on there an hour. Like I said, it was a warm day, so perhaps that helped to speed up the curing time. For those of you interested, the side windows were also cleaned with the D-cleaner, the hydrophobic glass cleaner. You can see just how hydrophobic that is on the side window. This wing was also coated with the Fukupika spray, the same as that side of the car bonnet. Over to the driver's side. That window was also cleaned with the D-cleaner, very, very hydrophobic glass cleaner. And the right wing had the Fusso Coat Boost spray. It'll be very interesting to see how well all of these last as we take a 2-week holiday down to Wales. And I'll try and give you guys an update later on, whether it's on YouTube or my Instagram. We'll soon see. but I'll be interested to see if this glass coating can hold up to 12 months of punishment, as well as the bonnet each side getting 6 months. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.